You're sitting with a brand new puppy. You didn't plan on getting one so soon. Maybe it felt too fast. Maybe part of you felt guilty even considering it. But there you are. And then the dog does something. A head tilt, a specific look, a way of pawing at your hand that stops you cold. And something in your chest just stops. Like a memory you can't name. Like recognition. What if that feeling isn't grief talking? What if it's something older than grief? What if it's the truth? Today we're going to talk about something that millions of pet owners have quietly wondered but rarely said out loud. Can the soul of a pet come back? And if they do, how would you know? Most people think they chose their pet. They picked the right breed, drove to the right shelter, clicked on the right listing at the right time. It felt like a decision, a practical one even. But what if the choice was made long before any of that? What if the soul of that animal was already looking for you? There's a concept that appears across multiple spiritual traditions, the idea of a soul contract. An agreement made before birth, before bodies, before this life even began. Two souls who decide to find each other, to help each other grow, to teach each other something that can only be learned through love and loss. And here's the part that changes everything for a lot of people. That contract doesn't end when your pet dies. Death isn't a termination, it's an intermission, a pause between acts. The bond doesn't dissolve, it waits. So what happens after they cross the rainbow bridge? Where do they go? And what are they doing while you're grieving? Most accounts across near-death experiences, mediumship sessions, and decades of spiritual research point to the same general picture. The soul doesn't vanish. It doesn't immediately leap into a new body either. There's a period of rest, of adjustment, a kind of peaceful in-between where the soul recovers from the physical experience and begins to reorient. But here's what's interesting. During that period, many people report that their pet doesn't fully leave. Not yet. They linger close as energy, as presence, a familiar warmth on an empty bed, the sound of paws on hardwood that aren't there, the feeling of being watched from a corner of the room that makes you smile instead of shudder. These aren't grief hallucinations. They're often something else entirely. The soul is still nearby, still checking in, still deciding. Now here's something that surprises a lot of people. When a pet's soul does choose to return, they don't always come back as the same breed. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they come back completely different size, different color, different species even. And there's a reason for that. Think about it from the soul's perspective. If they came back looking identical, you might love the appearance. But would you recognize the essence? Would you feel the connection? Or would you just feel like you'd replace someone? Sometimes the soul chooses a different form on purpose, as a kind of test. Not a cruel one, a loving one. They want to know, can you recognize me when I don't look like what you remember? Can you feel who I am without the familiar packaging? That's a profound question, and for many people the answer turns out to be yes. The timing of a return is rarely random either. These souls seem to wait for something specific, not a date on a calendar, but a shift in the person they're returning to. It's usually not when you stop grieving. Grief is natural and it takes as long as it takes. But there's a specific turning point that seems to act almost like a signal. The moment when you move from devastation into something quieter. A kind of openness, an exhale after a very long hold, a new chapter, a move, a healing milestone. Sometimes just a morning where you wake up and the weight is slightly lighter than it was the day before. That seems to be the window. And somehow they find it. So how do you actually recognize them when they arrive? This is the part people want most. And it's also the part that's hardest to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. Because the signs aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they're almost embarrassingly small, and yet they land like a thunderclap. Physical echoes are often the first thing people notice. A birthmark in almost the exact same location on the body, the same unusual double sneeze not once, not occasionally, but consistently, the same way every time. A sleeping position that's statistically unlikely and yet identical to what you saw for years before. One woman described how her previous dog always slept with one back leg kicked out to the right. Her new puppy, different breed, different everything, slept the exact same way from the first night home. Then there are the behavioral echoes. These are harder to dismiss as coincidence. The new pet goes immediately to the exact spot where the old one used to sleep. Not the obvious comfortable spot, the specific weird corner that only your other pet ever chose. They know where the treats are hidden without being shown. They react with unusual recognition when they hear the name of the pet who passed. Not just alertness, something more like a pause. A turning inward. Some people have reported that their new pet refuses to go near a specific room or shows strong aversion to a particular person in the same room, the same person their previous pet never trusted. These aren't trained behaviors. They can't be. There's nothing to explain them except something carried over. And then there's the stare. This one is almost impossible to describe to someone who hasn't felt it. But if you have felt it, you know exactly what I'm talking about before I even finish the sentence. It usually happens in the first few weeks. The new animal just stops what they're doing, goes still, and looks at you. Not the way a puppy looks at you, curious, distracted, wanting food. This is different. This is patient, deep, ancient almost. It's the kind of eye contact that makes time feel strange, where you find yourself holding your breath without realizing it, where something in the back of your mind says, I know you. I have always known you. That moment is not imagination. That moment is recognition running in both directions. Now, can you do anything to invite this return? Can you play an active role, or is it entirely up to them? The answer most spiritual traditions point to is both. You don't summon a soul, you can't demand a return or set a deadline, but you can make yourself findable. You can create the conditions that make it easier for them to locate you, to feel that the timing is right, to step back toward you when they're ready. During quiet moments, a walk just before sleep, during meditation, or even just a moment of stillness in an ordinary day, you can speak to them. Silently or out loud, it doesn't matter. Simply say, I'm ready when you are. Come find me when it's time. That's it. No ritual, no ceremony, just sincerity, just an open door. There's one more piece of this that I want to address carefully because it matters. For a soul to return and for you to recognize them when they do, there's something that seems to need to shift in you first. And it's not about getting over your grief. Please hear that clearly. Grief is sacred. Grief is the proof of love. You don't need to rush it, suppress it, or perform recovery for anyone. But there's a difference between grief that moves, that flows, that honors what you had, and grief that closes. Grief that becomes a door locked from the inside. When the weight shifts from, I cannot survive this loss, to I am grateful beyond words that we had what we had, that's usually the moment. Not the end of sadness, just the beginning of openness. And openness is what they're waiting for. You may be watching this because you lost someone. And if that's true, I want you to sit with this for a moment. That love you felt, the specific, irreplaceable, ridiculous, overwhelming love you had for that animal that doesn't evaporate. It doesn't dissolve into silence and disappear. Energy doesn't work that way. Love doesn't work that way. It finds its way back. Maybe it already has. Maybe you're already sitting with them right now, and some part of you brought you to this video today because you needed someone to say, it's okay to believe that. It's not wishful thinking. It's not grief making things up. It's possible. It happens. And you would know. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Tell me about the moments you knew. Or drop the name of the pet you're still waiting for, just their name. Nothing else. You'd be surprised how powerful that simple act can feel. And if you're ready to go deeper, the next video continues this conversation in a direction I think is going to surprise you. Please hit that like button and subscribe to join our growing community here at Cayce Reflections, and I'll see you there.